Hi crafters, this is Crafty Crystal, back with another crochet project. This is a double infinity scoodie. The hood is attached to the scarf, closed and back. Okay, the instructions are simple. Pattern is a very nice pattern. It's called a Backstep Double Crochet. Turns out really nice. Let's get started. Okay, I've chained 175 to start this, and I've matched the ends. I've gone down and made sure there's no twists and turns, and now I'm going to turn it upside down and right side up again. Now if I just turned it upside down and matched it, I would be making an infinity scarf. This is a double infinity scarf because it turns all the way around. All the way around back to right side up. Put my hook in there. Slip stitch. Okay. I'm going to single crochet all the way around, and I'm going to do it all in these back loops. Okay. Just like that. Single crochet is you put your hook in to this little bump, pull a loop through, wrap your yarn, pull a loop all the way through. That's a single crochet. Okay? Go all the way around and come back to the beginning, and we'll start the pattern design. Okay, to start this stitch, we want to chain 3 up from our row of single crochet. We want to come back around and back of the chain, bring it up, bring up a loop. We want to skip the first stitch, go to the second stitch, pull up a loop, and through 2 and 2. Now chain 1, go behind this stitch here on the top of your last chain, and behind this bar, like that. Pull up a loop. Skip 1 stitch on the bottom, go to the next stitch, pull up a loop. Yarn through 2 and through 2 and chain 1. Go back, repeat that, going around the top of the last stitch you did. Skip 1 on the bottom, go to the next one, pull it up through 2 and through 2, chain 1, go back behind the last stitch, skip 1 stitch, go into the next stitch. Oh, I crochet too tight. Pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2, chain 1. Back, pull up a loop, skip 1 through there, pull up a loop, through 2, through 2, chain 1. And then we have our stitch. And there's the back of the stitch. Okay. I'll do a couple more, and then you go on and go around and meet me where we come back to the beginning. So I already chained 1. Go back into the behind the first stitch, the last stitch I did. Skip 1, go through the next stitch, pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2, chain 1. to the back and up. Skip one to the next stitch and up. Through two and two. And there you have it. Isn't that pretty? All right, I'll meet you around here where we try to join on to the beginning. I want to show you something. This part is nice and straight. This part is nice and straight. This part is bending in. I made it too tight along here. Anyway, if you make it too tight and you get a bow like this, what you do is you hold it on both sides like that and just kind of scrub it around, together and apart, together and apart. What you're doing is you're loosening them up, and then when you pull it back, you're allowing it to equalize. And now the whole thing's straight. See there? There we go. And I think I did miss. I did. I missed my chain one back here. I'll pull it out and go back. But that's what you do if it seems too tight. You just push it like that and pull. Push it together and pull. You're using like a circular motion like this. And pull. Circular. Pushing it together. Pushing it together and pull. Push it together and pull. First you're loosening it all up, and then you're telling what you want to stretch. Okay? I'm going to back up and undo my boo-boo. Should have checked it earlier. I think the best way not to forget your chain is to think 3 instead of 2. Skip 1, bottom stitch, 1, 2, 3. Back stitch. 1, 2, 3, back stitch. If you think of it that way, you won't ever forget your chain 1. It's not something you're adding on, it's part of the stitch. 1, 2, 3, back stitch. And you'll come out nice and even. Okay, now as you can see, I went through several rows instead of coming back on the first row I was working with. I needed to work more with this. This is the first time I've done this stitch, and I had to do some hit or miss on the connecting here. I want the connecting to be as least obvious as possible, and I finally picked on the right way to do it. Learned several wrong ways, but I finally picked on the right. Now, this is the one that I stepped into and chained up and went back in the other direction. Because here's my beginning stitch, and here's the first hole I went into. So this is the hole I started with. That is the hole I'm going back down into. Same hole. And I am not chaining 1 after I connect. I'm going right into the very next hole that's available. Not this place where I connected to my chain, but the very next hole, and slip stitching in. This gives you the most, I guess, the neatest and the tightest look. You don't end up with a big hole, and you don't end up with a bulk. Now you chain up 1, 2, 3, and try to make them kind of loose. That's like speaking a foreign language to me. I have a hard time making loose. Come back into your chain. And you don't want to go down into the same chain. You want to go right into the next hole, which is, you see the holes have knots on both sides where you do your single crochet. You want to go right down into this big hole right there. Whoops. Cross my stitch, 2, 3, back step, and I'm ready to scoot right along in the other direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie this off, and I'm going to set my hood. And I've already measured. In fact, I measured on me and on a mannequin, and both times I came up with 12 inches. Okay, I asked my little friend here to help with this next part. You want to put the cowl on the way you want it to fit, and this pattern edge, not your first finished edge, but your pattern edge, you want to close at the back of your neck, like that. Okay? This part's going to be loose. This doesn't start getting snug till about here. Okay? Now, if you want it to come down a little more, that's no problem. You still have the same thing in the back. If you want it to come back more, no problem. It's still the same distance in the back. So however you want to wear it, it'll be loose enough or snug enough. Okay? Now this back here is going to be filled in with crochet. So I started with a marking at the place I find least desirable to see. That's this part. Because the part from the nape of the neck and where this folds over is really going to be pretty much out of sight. You don't have to worry about it. Now I measure, it's about 12 inches. I'm going to match. I'm using a hole here. So I'm going to find a hole over here that matches about and put a marker through it. Like that. And that's my starting point. Now, as you can see, I was going this way, I was going the right way on the front for the last row. So I will be turning it inside out, and starting at my marker, I'll be working on the back. If you ended up on the back, then you do it in reverse. You start on the front on the other side. You'll be starting on the other side on the front. Okay? Whoops. Lost my end. Now, we're going to slip stitch into this knot. Now, these knots are not really easy to get into, but we only have to do it on the very first row. After that, we're free and clear. Okay? So I've got my loop in there. I'm going to come through the hole right next to it. Let's get you up where you can see it better. Go through the hole right next to it and make a single crochet. Going into the knot next to that tight stitch. Feels like a knot, it's hard enough. And I'm doing a half double. The half double is where you wrap, go into your base, bring one loop up, and go through all 3 loops. Then I'm going to do a double in this next hole. And that's wrap, pull your loop up, go through 2 and 2. And now we're ready to go into our regular pattern stitches. So to start that, we chain 1, back step, go into our next hole, and you know it all from there. 1, 2, 3, back step. And you can see that we're going right from our surface up to the full size of our pattern with no steps. Before you get too close to your other end, go back to your marker and you say this knot is a slip stitch, This is my single, this knot is my half double crochet, and this is my double crochet. Actually, that'll be the last of your pattern pieces. And you don't want to lose track of where that is. So here's your last, here's the last, this is the double stitch spot. So you don't want to do your extra stitch up here because you want to pull it in. But I'm going to go ahead and do my back step. Go in there and finish my double crochet. And pull that out now. Go into my small stitch. Oh, I'm glad I don't have to do this much more. There we go. And I didn't yarn over. I get to do it twice. There we go. Do my half double. Do my single. Now, this here should be my slip stitch. And if I do my slip stitch, I'm going to have a bump here. So I'm going to come down into the place that I had my marker at. And I'm going to do the slip stitch there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that stitch tight. See there? Nice and tight. This will give me a opportunity not to have to do have a bump there. I'm going to come in the top of my single crochet and do a slip stitch. Come in the top of my half double and do a half double. Pardon me. Top of my half double and do a single. See, we're just moving up the line. The top of the next stitch is your half double. And then we do our double. And we're doing our double right into our first hole. Now we chain one because we're moving into our pattern. Back stitch, go into the bottom, and we're on our way again. We successfully conquered our back step from the slopey slope back to the level again. There we are. Now coming down to my other end, here's where I did my last slip stitch, single crochet, half double, and double. So I'm going to come down right away. Since you connect your last double anyway, just treat it as a pattern stitch, but we don't do the extra stitch. Then wrap, go in and do your half double, your single, and your slip stitch. Pull it nice and tight and turn. You go in the first stitch you have and do your slip stitch. Do your single crochet into your next stitch. Half double into the next. Do your double. Chain one. Back step. Begin your pattern. The only consideration you have to worry about is make sure you don't have a step over here. And you keep going back and forth until it'll close behind. And I'm not going to measure that again till I get to at least the 5th row. I'll probably have to do 6 rows, but I'm not going to measure it till I get to the 5th row because it's useless anyway. You really don't need to. Okay, I've done 5 rows now, and I can tell from the way this fits here, I'm going to need about 4 more rows, so that means 2 more rows here. And I'm going to end up with this kind of peak on top here. And the way I did it on my last one is I just doubled it down at the end and crocheted it together, and I ended up with a little flap on the back, but I still had a pretty good sized peak. So what I think I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to mark evenly about this big of a space. Let's see, that's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I'm going to take about the last 17, 18 rows, areas here, and I'm going to mark them off. And I'm going to decrease in here and see how that works for me. Decreasing should be fun. Haven't tried it with this stitch, but it's time to learn. Okay, I put my two starting points together and came up and found my peak. And I counted back down 8 on each side. Got one in the middle, but it doesn't make any difference. So I'm doing an approximation here. I put a longer loop tail through it so it comes and pull one side through so it comes down on each side like that. Because I'm going to be working on both sides, and I want to make sure that I keep my reductions right here in the same area. Now, I never reduced with this stitch, so we'll see what happens. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to decrease once and then do 2 regular stitches, decrease again, do 2 regular stitches, and do that around to the other side. And the next row I might decrease every other one. I want to see how it looks like this first. Now, I tried this a couple times and it seems to work out okay. I'm going to go into the hole, bring up a loop, and do our first, so we still have 2 on the hook. Then we're going to go into the next hole, pull up a loop, do our first 2, then pull up that loop, do our chain 1, and back step. And then do it regular. 1, 2, 3, back step. In the next hole, 1, 2, 3, back step. And this time I'm going to draw up a loop, pull through 2 loops. Draw up a loop, pull through 2 loops. Then pull through those 2 loops, do my extra stitch, and back step. And then I'll do 2 more normal. Make sure I didn't goof on top. Okay, looks normal on top. And see, the ones I reduced don't really stand out that much. They look okay. So I'll reduce again, go through the hole, bring up my loop, go through 2 loops. Go through the next hole, bring up my loop, go through 2 loops. Go through the last 2 loops, do my chain 1, and back step. And I do the next 2 normal. Just like that. Back step. Then I go through the next hole, pull through 2 loops. Go through the next hole, pull through 2 loops. Then pull through 2 loops, do my chain 1, and my back step. Got 1, 2, 3, 4 reductions. And it doesn't show up. I could probably do every other one and it would be just fine. I do want to bring that lip down. I think I'll go back and do that. Okay, I undid that and I went back and I did a decrease and a back step, a decrease and a regular, a decrease and a regular, a decrease and a regular, a decrease and a regular. And it still looks okay. The back looks okay. Of course, this is going to be inside the hood, so you don't have to worry about it. That worked out very nice. Okay, I'm going to finish this row and do another row, and I'm going to do the same sharp decrease on that and then see what it looks like on my mannequin. Okay, now we are close enough we can close our hole. Sew up our back seam. Our extreme peak has been rounded off, and we will close it even more when we come to close the peak, because we start at the bottom and work up. Alrighty. So I'm going to tie off up here. Here's my scissors. There we go. And I'm putting my worst side for my seam on the inside. So I have my best side on the outside. Put these two guys together. I'm going to stitch right through both of them. Both sides. I'll stitch right through both stitches of both of them. And this time I'm going to go through both, bring both threads up, go into the very next hole on both sides, and again I'm pulling both the lead and the tail in. That gives me a good strong part because this is a weak point. This is going to be a stress point that you're going to use. Now, at this point I am going to find the ends of each of my rows. Now all we need to do is do a nice row of slip stitches going from side to side all the way up. Now do them nice and tight. You don't want this to be loose. You want it to be tighter. If you had big bumps along here, it would give you trouble to no end because you'd end up with big bumps either in back or showing on the other side. There we go. Go through these guys. Pull this out. Side to side, all the way up, nice and tight. You don't care if it pulls because you want your back smaller anyway. That's my next stitch. There you are. I'm not using the little bumpy holes. I'm only using the big holes. And this is going to help draw the back closed more too. I'm going to back off from my peak about 4 stitches. Okay, I really loused up the end of my video. I did almost everything off screen, which didn't help you at all. I'm going to go back and I'm reviewing the end where I bring down the end of my peak to where I have been slip stitching. Now there, on the video, the last thing you heard probably is where I said I was going to come down about 4 stitches. I'm coming down more like about 7 to show you because this is really better. In fact, if you came down around 10, you'd have a flatter peak. The bigger the butterfly you make, the deeper, the flatter the peak, okay? So you just pull that down like that, right down to where you did your last slip stitch. Now I'm going to switch from slip stitch to needle. This time I got my needle ready. Okay. Now, with the bigger ones, you don't have so much trouble holding them. With the small ones, you definitely need the T-pins. And this is what I was showing you for the small ones. Make sure you can see all sides, the outside, both sides of the inside, and the outside. If you can't see them, you're probably not going to be able to pin them. So you come up one up here on the outside. This is the one that you're slip stitched to. Come up to the next one. Go through the inside 2 here. Okay, go through the inside 2 here, like that. The inside 2 on this side. And the next 2 on the outside that you haven't slip stitched to already. Now that's your guide. Take your needle and you follow it right through there. Okay? Wrap your thread around. And pull it. Now you've got your V established. It's easier to find your stitches. Here's your next outside stitch. Sure, it's easier. Okay. This is the last stitch I did this. Here, I'm going to go through these 2 stitches. I'm going to go through these 2 stitches. And then these 2. And these 2. I should have the same amount on the outside on both sides. Wrap my yarn around. And pull it tight. I'm going to go through those 2 one more time. At least go through approximately the same area. Okay. Now, it's the last 2 on the outside. Okay. There's the last 2 on the inside. Last 2 on this part of the inside. The last 2 on this part of the outside. Take your time, be sneaky about this. It'll try to outsmart you if it can. You know these little darlings, they got their own ideas of what they're going to do. Give it another little oomph. Bury your thread. Cut it off, and there you are. Cut it off. Scissors, please. Okay. And here we go. Now, there's 2 ways to wear this. You can wear it open like this, where the bottom folds in like this. And you have kind of this open air type thing. But when the wind's coming up and you want it warmer, You take this and you fold this to the outside on both sides, like that. And it comes in around your ears, keeps your ears warm. And you can still pull your hood down if you want, like that. And you can still wear it back farther, like that. And your hood and your neck warmer. You're not going to get cold wearing this puppy. Okay? I wanted to thank you for being with me on this video tutorial. This is one of the ones I did probably about 3 videos ago. And I am learning to keep my hands in better. I'm learning to film in a lot smaller bites so I can just delete the whole bite and redo it. And that's all helping me. One of these days I'm going to be a really good videoer. Meanwhile, I try to give you pretty good content, and I hope my instructions are clear enough for you. Anyway, please keep joining me. I will keep improving. I'll try to bring you new things all the time. My latest one was this one, and I don't think I went out of camera once. So I am improving. I am getting there, and my lighting is better. Thank you for joining me. Happy crocheting, everyone.